The gods stopped aging until Loki's greed aged them overnight. In the heart of Asgard, beyond the shining halls of Odin and Thor, there existed a secret that few mortals could ever imagine. A treasure so precious that it held the very essence of life itself. That treasure was none other than the golden apples of Idun, the goddess of youth. Her radiant presence ensured that the mighty gods of Asgard never succumbed to the ravages of time, keeping their strength, their beauty, and their divine power eternally intact. And yet, in this seemingly perfect world, the gods themselves had no idea how fragile their immortality truly was. It was not born of their own might, but of a single goddess who carried within her hands the very key to their everlasting vigor. The delicate branches that bore these magical apples glistened with a light that could blind any mortal or god who gazed upon them. It hinted at the mysterious power they held, power that Loki, the ever-curious, ever-mischievous, and ever-dangerous trickster of Asgard, could never resist. Even in a world where gods ruled and monsters lurked beyond the walls of the realm, Loki's mind was always seeking ways to bend fate, to sow chaos, to test the limits of both order and mischief. Thus it was only a matter of time before the golden apples would become the stage for yet another of his cunning schemes.
Unveil the legends.
It began on a day that seemed like any other, with the gods gathered in the great halls, drinking from their horns, of mead and reveling in tales of heroism and victory. But Loki, who never truly found pleasure in the accomplishments of others, grew restless. His mind wove together a plan that was both dangerous and brilliant. He had learned of Idun's secret and the power of her apples. A wicked idea took root in his heart, one that would test not only the patience of the gods, but the very fabric of their immortality. He approached the golden-haired goddess with a smile that was both charming and unsettling. He complimented her endlessly on the perfection of her apples and the glow of her youth. Under the guise of admiration and innocent conversation, he whispered words that would lure her into his scheme. He claimed that there existed a realm far to the north, where apples of even greater beauty could be found, apples that could shine brighter than the sun itself. Although Idun hesitated, sensing the faint trace of mischief that always clung to Loki like a shadow, she eventually allowed herself to be persuaded. The promise of discovery had a way of softening even the most cautious hearts. In that moment, the goddess had no idea that she was stepping into a trap from which Asgard itself would soon feel the consequences. As Idun followed Loki through the forests and valleys that lay beyond the edges of Asgard, she remained unaware of the giant Jazi who had long coveted her beauty and the secret of her golden apples. He lurked in the shadows like a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Loki, ever the manipulator, had arranged a meeting with this fearsome being. He knew full well that once Jazi's talons were involved, neither gods nor mortals could interfere without great peril. When the moment came, the giant descended upon Idun with terrifying swiftness. He snatched her from Loki's side and lifted her high into the sky before transforming into his eagle form. His dark wings blotted out the sun as he carried her far from Asgard. Loki, feigning concern and helplessness, returned to the halls to announce the disappearance of the goddess. The gods, powerless without their source of eternal youth, were forced to confront a reality they had never before imagined. Even Odin, the All-Father, could not prevent the march of time from catching up with them. In the absence of Idun and her apples, the once youthful faces of the gods began to reveal lines. Their hair dulled, their strength waned. A sense of unease settled over the shining halls. The immortality they had taken for granted was slipping through their fingers like sand. The changes were subtle at first. A stiff joint here, a weary sigh there. But as hours turned into days, the effects of Idun's absence became impossible to ignore. The gods, who had always walked with confidence, and authority found, themselves struggling with tasks that were once effortless. Their weapons felt heavier in their hands. Their voices lost a certain resonance. Their once mighty forms began to show the cracks of time. Panic began to ripple through the halls. If they could not reclaim the golden apples, not only would their strength falter, but the very order of Asgard would be thrown into chaos. In the midst of this growing despair, Loki watched from the shadows. A smirk played on his lips as he observed the panic he had orchestrated. Every wrinkle, every ache, every moment of weakness was a testament to his cunning. Yet, deep in the hearts of the gods, a spark of determination began to rise. Though they had been humbled by the absence of Idun, they were still gods. Gods do not surrender lightly. A plan was hatched to retrieve her, to confront Chasi, and to restore the golden apples. Not merely to regain their youth, but to reclaim the power and authority that Loki had so dangerously toyed with. Through a combination of cunning, courage, and the intervention of Thor, who had never been a stranger to action in times of crisis, the gods managed to track Chasi to his distant stronghold. In a battle that shook the very skies, they freed Idun from the clutches of the giant. His anger and roar echoed through the mountains like thunder. The goddess, golden apples in hand, returned to Asgard, restoring the vitality and youth of the gods almost instantly. Their strength and beauty returned like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Yet the events had left a mark. Even in the restoration of what was lost, there remained a lesson about the fragility of immortality and the dangers of trusting a trickster whose mind was always 2 steps ahead of reason. Loki, who had once again danced on the edge of disaster and emerged unscathed, merely smiled at the chaos he had sown. His eyes glinted with secrets, knowing that the gods had learned nothing that would prevent him from striking again. As the golden apples glistened once more in Asgard, the gods could only reflect on the truth. Even immortals are not immune to the whims of the clever and the cruel. The world of gods and men alike is forever shaped by those who dare to challenge order, for the thrill of mischief. And so the golden apples remained. Idun returned to her place among the gods. Yet Loki's shadow lingered over Asgard, a reminder that even the mightiest immortals can grow old overnight when mischief and cunning intertwine. Perhaps if you listen closely, you will hear the faint whisper of his laughter carried on the wind. For where there is Loki, there is always chaos waiting to bloom.